Welcome to the Active Marketer Podcast, where we talk about how to design, automate, and scale your business to the next level using sales and marketing automation. You can find out all the tips, tactics, and techniques you need to get more customers and sell more stuff over at theactivemarketer.com. Now, here's your host, Barry Moore.
Welcome, podcast listener, to episode 15 of the Active Marketer Podcast. I'm your host, Barry Moore. And this is a very special Hawaiian episode of the Active Marketer Podcast. We're just hanging out in Waikiki for the week, doing a little bit of work and catching a lot of surf. So I didn't want you to miss out on any marketing automation goodness, so we've got another episode for you. I've been getting a lot of feedback from people asking about what specifically can you do with marketing automation? How can I put it to work in my business straight away? So what I thought we'd do over the next few weeks is get some of our guests back to share one or two of their automations that have really worked well in their business that you can go away straight away and implement in your business. So this week we got John Logar from episode 5, I think it is, of the Active Marketer Podcast. He's come back to share a simple sequence with you that can generate sales and cash flow in your business. He calls it the rapid cash flow sequence. So he's going to share that sequence for you. It's a sequence of 4 emails. And by the end of the episode, you're going to be able to go away and implement that in your business. So let's get into this week's episode, which is John Logar sharing his rapid cash flow sequence. All right, we'd like to welcome back to the show one of our favorite guests, John Logar, and he's come back to share with us one of his favorite sequences that he sees in his business and that of his clients that works really well, so that you can go away and build that for yourself and start using marketing automation to increase your sales and get more customers. So welcome back, John.
Thanks, Barry, for having me. We get to share the sneaky sauce now.
Yeah, the secret sauce to the back end of making more money with email. So why don't you just launch into, I know you've probably seen lots and lots of sequences across lots and lots of customers.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's the most simple ones that actually work the best. So if you could maybe share with us a simple, easy to implement strategy so our listeners can go away and implement straight away.
I love calling this strategy the rapid cash flow email strategy.
Sounds good already.
Because to me, it's it's always good to have an injection of funds. If you need, it's like if you want some money, you've got to go and ask for it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. If you want something, you have to ask for it. I'm not sure of the biblical phrase or the biblical reference. Ask and you shall receive. Is this concept? Well, this sequence is designed completely around the concept of asking. Okay, and it's a very, very simple process, and I'll give you a couple of different ways in which you can run this sequence. There are only 4 emails in this sequence, so it's really short. Some people can run the sequence once every day. I would probably recommend that you give a couple of days space in between each email, because this will leave the message out there or the offer out there a little bit longer. It also gives time for people to have a look, take things in, or even to respond back to you. So the sequence should optimally last for about 12 days. The results and responses can happen significantly fast. In some cases, it will happen instantaneously when you send out. In other cases, it might take a few days to filter through. But I'm going to share also a couple of ways in which you can maximize your opportunity to really get some traction on this particular sequential strategy. So the premise of the strategy essentially is making an offer to existing, past, or new clients in your list. So the idea is if you have a list of existing customers, you would obviously formulate that list. If you have a list of past customers that you haven't done business in a while or they haven't been in for a while, you would also put them on this list. And also non-customers. So there may be people who've inquired about your product or service but actually didn't buy, but you've got their details. Okay? So the list doesn't have to be big. Some of the most successful campaigns in this strategy that I've run the smallest campaign was 30. A list of 30 people generated $250,000 worth of sales. That's the smallest campaign.
That's a good list.
That was a pretty good list, and it was a pretty good offer too. The largest list on average would probably be about 1,000. Surprisingly, the average list that I've seen work really well with this campaign is between 200 and 800 people on a list. So they're relatively small lists. You don't need thousands of customers. As I said, a list of 30 people can bear fruit. In fact, it's one of the strategies that I teach a lot of the consultants that I mentor, a lot of business people that I work with. It's one of the first things that I encourage them to do, because the thing that I believe in also, and this is not my thing. I didn't invent this idea. It's something that has historically happened over the millennia, over many, many thousands of years. Is the more you offer, the more you get.
For sure.
You're constantly offering something out there, that means that people have the opportunity to constantly buy from you. Break it down into a very small sequence where it happens over a 12-day period where you reiterate an offer. So like in advertising, in the old school advertising idea, is if you're going to run an ad campaign, you don't just run one ad and then hope something's going to happen. The idea is that you run the same advertisement half a dozen or a dozen times so that it actually permeates and gains acceptance and awareness and recognition within the customer base that is exposed to that media, right? So it's no different to advertising. This sequence is designed to hit the customer or give the customer a nudge on a consistent basis in a very short space of time, so that one, it makes them aware that you're there. Two, it encourages them to open the actual offer that you're making. And three, if it's relevant to them, they're going to buy, okay? So the sequence is very simple. It is to construct an email offer. So you have your list of whether it be 30 people or a couple of hundred people, and you would have that, you can put that in an Excel spreadsheet, in a CSV file, and then I would upload that list into an autoresponder. So simple autoresponders are things like Aweber, MailChimp, product like ActiveCampaign is easily to set this up in. But all you're doing is taking the name and the email address of your customer and placing it in a place where you can actually create one email and mail merge that automatically through that system. Press the button and go. If you want to do this yourself, okay. So if you're already using an autoresponder system, then this is going to be a lot easier for you because you've already got a list in that system. But for those who are starting out, or those of you who've never done this, this is as simple as it gets. So you've got your list, you upload it into a mechanism that can distribute emails to that list. The second part of this is to think about who you're sending this email to. A moment ago, I said existing customers, past customers, and perhaps non-customers, right? If it's existing customers, the email that you send needs to be relevant to existing customers. So what I mean by that is if you're going to create an offer, think about your current customers and think about what you've got that would add value or be of benefit to them to take advantage of. That is the offer you want to create for them. If it's past customers, you might identify them as past customers and say, hey, you once used to buy from us, or you've been a great customer in the past. We thought we'd love for you to take advantage of an offer that we've created specially for you. So you're making it relevant to the past customer to reignite them and come back into the business. Or if it's a non-customer, say, hey, you've inquired once in the past. We've come up with a special offer for you. Would you like to take advantage of it? Here is our offer, right? So I'm going to share with you a couple of examples of offers and strategies that have worked in a moment. But that's the premise. So you create an offer that is relevant to the customer. Now, what types of offers you can create? You might have overstocks. So you might have stocks of things that you have that you haven't been able to sell, that you could probably put a price point on and let your customers say, hey, we've got an excess of stock. We made a mistake and we over-ordered. We thought you've been a great customer. We thought we'd give you an option to take advantage of this offer because we're clearing it out. So you're telling your existing customers that they can take advantage of you from a mistake that you've made, that you've got an overstock. If they'd like to help you out, they can get an advantage and you'd like to clear your stock through them, right? So there's relevancy, there's a reason behind it, and there's also a sense of scarcity. I've only got a certain amount of stock available. Right, so encourage conversion. So that's another offer. Another offer is one of my favorites is we're about to spend a whole bunch of money on advertising, and instead we thought we'd give you the money instead. Right, so we thought we'd give you $50 to come and spend on our product. Right, that's another great offer. Another offer might be, hey, we've got this product here. We've got access to another product that we can add value with, and you package them up and you give a great offer, which is a value add. So you can package products together. that'll increase your profit, but it also gets a customer to buy more. And if it's a good offer, then people are going to think, hey, that's a great idea. Let's take advantage of it. Okay, so there's 3 different types of offers, or you can just do a straight out, here's our service, and it's a thing, what I call the capacity offer. So if it's a service you provide, let's say you're a web developer or you're an automation specialist, okay, you might say, hey, we've got our team has got an allocation of time in which we can actually expedite a project. So if you'd like to get your website up and running in the next 2 weeks, our team can take care of that. We can take care of that right now if you'd like to go ahead now. So there's this sense of urgency, and there's a reason for the capacity. There's a reason why we're making this offer, right? So it's relevant to the list, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
So there's 5 different offers that you can create for the first email, the offer. So we upload that email into the autoresponder or email service, and then we hit send, right? Now, some people say that should be it. Most people make the mistake, they only send 1 offer and 1 email. Okay. In this sequence, it's a 4 email sequence. So the first email is the offer. It goes out on the first day, day 1, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to check, because these software systems that I've just shared with you allow you to see who opened, when they opened, what they looked at. Is there a link that they clicked to the offer that you may have on your website? Is there a link that might go to a landing page or a page that you have set up specially for people who inquire about the offer? Is it a straight out reply, yes, I'd like it, on the bottom? You can actually see the behavior through the autoresponder system that you're using. So the first thing you want to look for is how many people open the email. So you want to actually keep an eye on this campaign, right? Generally, the majority of emails are opened within the first 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours of a send. After about 2 to 3 hours, the email starts to pile up in the list of emails, like everybody's inbox is. But you'll find what you're looking for is the ratio. So if you had 100 people you send an email to, you want to see if, did 20 people open the email? So you had a 20% response rate or open rate. Did 30 people open the email? Generally on a familiar list, a list that is close to you, like a customer list, or a list that knows who you are, based on the fact that you've perhaps never done this before, or it's been a long time since you communicated with your customer, open rates could be as high as 50 to 60%. So that means half the emails that you send out were actually seen by your customer or by the list person. And my experience is it will gravitate between about 35 up at the highest end, it'll be 60%, right? But I've seen them gravitate 35, 40, 45, 50% on average, right? Because they know you. So naturally, they receive an email from you, they'll open it up. Some people will open it up. Now, that's half the people open the email up. What you also want to do is if you get sophisticated, you can actually look, I mentioned a moment ago, the links. You can actually see not just how many people open the email, but how many people actually clicked on the link to go to the offer on your website, or clicked on the link to go to a page which articulates the offer, or replied to the actual email to take advantage of the offer.
Yeah, or even if they've opened it multiple times, right? So if they've opened it once and maybe they're on the bus on their phone and they come home and then they open it again to check it out again. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can see how many times they open email. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I brought that up because just remind me a little bit later, because there's a really sneaky trick. You can do something about the double open or the triple open emails. They can actually dramatically improve the sales for this campaign. So that's the first email. The second email that comes out 3 days later. Some people can do it the next day. I would recommend once every 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days later, second email comes out. Just want to make sure, subject line, just want to make sure you got the offer. So the email that I sent you a few days ago, I just want to make sure you got it and you saw it. And then, so your first paragraph will be, hey, Bob, sent this the other day. Not sure if you saw it. I just want to make sure that you didn't miss out on it and make sure that you saw the offer. And then it reiterates the same information about the offer in the email, same link or same calls to action to take advantage of the offer, and you leave it at that, right? So that's the second email. It's really funny. The second email usually gets there's a lower open. It goes both ways. It could be a lower open rate by about 20 to 30%, or sometimes it could be a higher open rate by 20 to 30%. It's like science. I don't know why this happens, but for some reason the second email has a fluctuation in it, okay, in terms of open rates. 2 to 3 days later, third email in the sequence. The third email in the sequence is, hey, I would love to know what you thought about the offer that I sent you the other day. That's your statement. Say, hey, Bob, Mary, Sue, just wanted to find out what you thought about this offer that we sent you. Did you like the offer? Didn't you like the offer? Just reply and just give us a quick note just to let us know what you think, right? So what you're doing is you're trying to get feedback. But what you're also doing is you're asking them to reread the offer.
Yeah.
That's the trick in this email, or that's the strategy in this email. So because if I hadn't paid attention to it the first two times, by the third time it's like, oh, okay, feedback. Okay, I might do them a favor. Not everybody's going to do you a favor, but some people are going to respond, surprisingly, right, when you ask for feedback. So that's the third email. Fourth email, final and last email, right? Final and last email is, hey, just wanted to make sure, are you still interested in taking advantage of that offer? Right, so it's a really short email, and then here is the offer again. So you're reiterating the same offer again, and then that's the end of your sequence. Now, I just want to give you the premise to dramatically improve your conversion rates for this campaign. Okay? So to dramatically improve your conversion rates on each of these emails, because each of these emails are pretty simple. It's really the same offer. All you're doing is changing the headline, the subject line, and you're changing the initial paragraph to suit the actual email you're sending to make it relevant. Okay? So with your offer, as long as your offer is relevant to the customer, you've given them a good reason for it, right? There may be a quantity number associated with it, so there is a limited number, right? And also you want time scarcity. We're only making this offer available for the next 2 weeks. Okay? So there's relevancy, the actual offer itself, the quantity, how many you want to sell, right? If there is a quantity, because that will improve your chances of improving conversion.
Yep.
The fact that there is a limited time only available for this offer, okay? And there's this concept of exclusivity. You are one of the few people that is receiving this offer. So if you're one of the few people, it gives you a better chance of taking advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you're using some tactics in the email to resonate with people's buying motivations, right? So it's opportunity. You're creating an opportunity, basically, is what you're doing in this scenario.
Well, I can hear the questions from the listener out there. So, isn't that going to piss somebody off if they get four, essentially what amounts to four of the same emails? Is that not going to annoy some people?
Yeah, I'm glad you really asked the question. In most cases, I would say 99.9% of the time, no. And let me tell you why. Most people scan their emails. So in my scanning, and this is why subject lines can be very important, sometimes I'll miss things or I'll deem them not to be important and won't even bother opening them, right? So the reason why you're sending the email is, one, you want to make sure they got them. The premise of the psychology behind it is, I'm just making sure you got this, right? You're giving them a relevant reason as to why you're doing it.
And you're kind of asking for permission you've sent it the second time. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. You're asking for permission as well. Most people, I would say, your unsubscribe rate, if you were to look at unsubscribe, in most cases would be, especially if it's a known list, will be less than 1%, right? And if it's a sizable list, you might get the odd person saying, "Hey, I don't want to receive this anymore." That's fine, right?
Yeah, they weren't going to buy from you anyway.
So. No, we're not catering to the individual. We're catering to the group, the majority. Okay, so are you going to piss people off? Not at all. If your offer is relevant to them, that's a good thing. It actually keeps you top of mind. It keeps your customer aware that you're there to provide a particular product or service. It may encourage a purchase, not at that point, but it may encourage a purchase within a short span of time from that as well. So to answer the question effectively, no, you're not going to be pissing your customers off. If you think you are pissing your customers off, then you need to think about what you're offering.
Well, they'll tell you with no uncertain terms.
That'll tell you in no uncertain terms. And if you think that by offering, if you think that that's pissing your customers off, you're not going to be in business for very much longer. But absolutely,
one thing I wanted to circle back to about the not pissing off your customers, especially if you present it, the whole premise is I have a special offer. I don't want you to miss out. And going back to the ready deals thing from QuantiScale, it's that psychological factor of loss aversion, right? So people will act more willingly to avoid a loss than they will to get a benefit. So you don't want to get off that ready deal list because you're afraid you might miss out on a really, really good deal, right? So you stay on that list. So it's the same kind of psychology at work here. Is people aren't going to get pissed off because you're offering them something that they don't want to miss out on. They don't want to miss out on a special deal. They're afraid of the time scarcity. So that psychological factor will go a long way in not quote unquote pissing off your customer as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Just a question on the management of the sequence. If you're sending it out every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days, are you making sure to just send it out on weekdays? So do you want to skip Saturday and Sunday and get him just on weekdays?
Timing sequences. Okay, depends on what product or service you're selling, because sometimes it may be advantageous for you to send on weekends, because customers do check their emails on weekends as well. We live in 24/7, 365-day-a-year society now. The internet gives you access 24/7 all year round. If it's relevant, by all means, email on the weekend, because if they don't open it on the weekend, they're going to be opening it on Monday. Yeah.
Another thing to circle back to on that 4 sequence, and why send 4 when you could just send 1. I think it also comes down to some behavior issues. I know for me, I might see an email in my inbox, and I know I want to read it later, and I'm just too busy now. This particular day, Tuesday is crazy, and I'm busy, and I've got to get back to clients, et cetera, and I don't end up reading it. The same email pops up 3 days later when I've got a bit of extra time. Oh yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. I meant to read that, and I'll go through and read it. And also, if you've ever read Google's Zero Moment of Truth, there's multiple touch points that people need before they make a buying decision. It used to be, I think, 5 or 6, and now it's like 10 or 11 or 13 or something. So in the days of social media where you're bombarded with tweets and Facebook posts, and you may have to, or it's a good idea to hit your potential customer up more than once.
Absolutely, and again, you hit the idea as well. 1, it keeps you top of mind. 2, you're going to be up. Your emails run top to bottom. In my email system, I only have first 50 emails showing.
And what kind of results have you seen from a simple sequence like that, John?
I'll give you a couple of examples. This is a great story. Small list. I think the list was like 120 odd people on the list. This was a company that built trailers, right, for semi-trailers, for trucks. So the back bedpan trucks. So these things are like, we're talking $40,000, $60,000, and it's quite a pricey sale. So they'd never actually emailed their customer base ever in the history of their business. They've been in business for 15 years, never sent an offer out to their existing customers. Had a list of customers saying, hey guys, we've got 4 of these trailers sitting at the back here. They've all been refurbished, ready to go. Would you like to buy it? Would you like to take advantage of it? Sold all 4 trailers within a fortnight, $120,000 worth of sales.
Nice.
To a list of 119, very small list. Okay, well, I can give you dozens more on different scales, but this is one of the easiest ways to generate an impact of revenue for your business. It's a really simple sequence, and it's one that can work pretty much for any business. I've never seen a business not actually generate a result by running this type of campaign. Even people who have run it for the first time, they've always managed to get 1 or 2 sales out of running this very simple strategy.
And even if you don't, what does it hurt? It costs nothing to set up one of these campaigns and fire it out if you've already got the tools. And even just think about your own behavior as a consumer. How many times do you need multiple reminders to get something done? I actually had a fence quote that I never followed through on. If they would have come back to me and said, hey, here's a special, I probably would have done it. So you're going to need multiple touch points with your customers, and timing's everything as well. Sometimes the timing's not right for them. You hit them up a bit later, and hey, presto, there's a sale. So you're absolutely right. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said for hitting people over the head with your offer, and especially that time sensitivity of it as well.
All right, John, we might wrap it up there. And I really want to thank you for coming on again, sharing one of your favorite sequences with us. And we'll have all the show notes. So we'll have the sequence spelled out step by step in the show notes there. And where can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about John Logar?
They can go to www.consultingunleashed.com, or I've got a podcast at businessunleashed.com. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of free stuff and lots of great ideas and strategies that people can take advantage of.
All right. Well, thanks, John, and all the best of luck on your new move to the U.S.
Thanks, Barry.
All right, I'd like to thank John for stopping by and sharing his rapid cash flow sequence with us. Remember, that's 4 emails, and you can find all the details over on theactivemarketer.com/rapid cash flow. We're up to episode 15. Things are going really well. I want to thank all you listeners for tuning in for each and every episode. We are a new show, so if you know someone who could get some use out of this information, we'd love it if you could share this podcast with your friends. And as always, we'd also love it if you could leave us a review over on iTunes. That helps bump the show up and make it more discoverable and easier for people to find. So once again, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to sharing more great marketing automation with you. In the meantime, get out there and design, automate, and scale your business to the next level. See you, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Active Marketer Podcast. You can find the show notes and all the latest marketing automation news over at theactivemarketer.com.